Hello and welcome to Let's Play Old Games, and today I'll look at a few early access games that I'm interested in. First up we have Subnautica. Now in Subnautica you explore an underwater alien world, and this is a survival crafting open world type game. This game was initially released in December 2014 and it is still in development, although it has had a lot of updates. So this is one of those games that has been doing rather well, and the developers seem to be adding more and more stuff recently. However, one thing I noticed with this game is since the past few updates, the game has taken a slightly different direction. Now this could be down to the developers or simply the people backing the early access and the community in general. They might have been suggesting stuff, so we don't know how it turns out. And this also has VR support. Now this is a very promising looking game. The visuals are very beautiful and definitely something you would love to explore, especially in VR. And so I'm hoping this turns out good, even though I'm not too keen about the horror aspect of the game and some of the survival sort of aspects they've included. But nevertheless, this is a very promising game and it is still in access, so I would like to know when this gets done. But if you look at the Steam page for this game, they have mentioned that it will take most of 2015, 16 and 17 in development, so probably next year or so we might see something close to the finished version. But anyway, this is a very nice looking game, definitely something we could check out once it's out. I generally don't play games until they are fully released, so I'll still wait for this, but it definitely looks very promising. The next game on my list is, of course, Black Mesa. Now, as somebody who recently played the original Half-Life games, this is very beautifully done, and I'm really looking forward to this game. Basically, this is a community-made remaster, if you will, of the original Half-Life game. So they've updated the graphics and they've kept most of it original. So if you just look at some of the images they've shown, this is amazing. I mean, basically they've taken an old game and updated it to sort of current year graphics. And this also has been in development for a while. I mean, I've noticed this for a few years already. But with this game, what they're doing is they are changing the end levels of the original game. If you haven't played it, it's the last 4 chapters, and they are redoing the whole thing, like making the combat and the levels a bit more interesting. So that is the only thing that's holding this up. Otherwise, this is almost ready. Most of everything else is done, and they are targeting a summer 2017 release, so we're almost there. So it might be out very soon, and definitely I'll have a look at this. I've been tempted to try this, but I decided to wait for the whole thing to come out, because I don't want to be in a situation where I play sort of most of the game and then wait for the remaining part. So I just want the whole thing to be ready, and I'll definitely play this. This is like the most anticipated game for me. And finally, this is an unusual one. This game is called GearCity. Now in GearCity you play as basically a car, you run a car empire, or a car business. This is a car business simulator, if you will. So you play through the early years of motoring, you start up your own company, you design your own cars, you look at sales numbers. So this is like a very in-depth business simulator, and I love these sort of games. This just looking at the pictures and the description on the Steam page, this reminds me a lot of the old Railroad Tycoon games, and I love those games. I mean, I love the detailed aspect they had in those games. And if you have played the Railroad Tycoon games, you might remember you had to get money on credit, and you had to look at your credit ratings, and you had to release bonds, etc. I love those sort of in-depth detailed stuff in games, which you don't see anymore. I remember the sequel to that game that came out, Sid Meier's Railroads, they had just dumbed it down completely and simplified everything. So this looks like the old school type of game. I mean, even the graphics look old school, to be honest. But the only thing that's slightly worrying about this game is that it's also been in development for a while. So this came out initially in May 2014, and so it's been about 3 years already. So I'm just a little bit hesitant on that aspect. Although if you read the description, the devs have been quite straightforward and honest and open about everything. So they're not promising too much, and they are sort of explaining everything as it goes along. The game can be played, and they have implemented the early years already. But they have, like I said, honestly said that they need to work on the other parts, and they have actually put in detail what is missing and what they're going to add. So this is also something I'm very keen, and I'm very sort of hopeful of that this turns out well, because this looks very promising. But you know, I don't want to get too hyped about this so soon, and I generally don't buy games in early access because of this reason, because sometimes you buy a game and it stays in early access for forever, it seems. So I have been keeping an eye on this for a while, and I hope it gets done soon, because I would love to try something like this, because it's been a while since I had like a game like this. So those were my picks for the early access games that seem interesting. Now, do you play games in early access? The problem I have is you start playing an early access game, and during the course of its development, it gets changed quite a bit. So if you already put like 50-60 hours in a game, and those parts that you've already played, they get a fresh update, you may not wish to go back because you probably already exhausted that, and you don't have any interest to do that again. So that's one of the reasons why I prefer the game to be complete before playing. But with this one, I might look into it, because I am tempted, and they say that the early part of the game has been sort of fully implemented. So we'll see. Anyway, what are your favorite early access games, and are there any that you're looking forward to? Let me know, and thank you for watching.